Okay, so here's another 1v1 battle replay, and this time I'm remembered to turn the music and sounds of the game up, so there'll be more than just my voice in the background this time. Now, of course, I'm playing as the Kingdom of Arnor in this one, and my opponent is playing as Isengard, but we'll go through my own composition first. Of course, I brought a ballista. I brought several units of Arnor pikemen as my front line. I also got some Dunedain Rangers and some Dunedain Troll Slayers, so that's going to be my archer contingent. Not very many, but they are very, very good. Then we have a lot of Arthur-Dane men-at-arms as my main infantry corps. They will be what I'm relying on essentially to help shore up the pikemen, and they have the armour and survivability to do it as long as they don't come face to face with some of Isengard's more deadly shock infantry. I've also brought a lot of cavalry. I've got 2 units of Dunedain scouts, so that, again, that's my ranged advantage coming in here. The crossbows of Isengard will pose a bit of a threat, but hopefully I'll be able to defuse them pretty quickly. Then we have 3 units of the Arnor Knights, and then my general is in a Knights of a Numinas unit here. One of the best looking units still, I think. It's such a nice looking unit. Let's have a look at my opponent's army composition here, and of course Isengard, so there's going to be a lot of crossbows, a lot of pikemen, and a lot of Uruk-hai infantry. This is really what makes up the core of his force. He also has a couple of units up here of guards of Orthanc, so they're very survivable. In prolonged melee with my cavalry, they will also do very well for themselves, but I'm hoping that I will be able to charge them down out of formation, similar to the pikes. He has his general in a Uruk-hai bodyguard unit, very, very deadly. And then he has several units of Uruk Reavers as shock infantry. They're good versus cav as well, so clearly he wants to entrap my cav. And then up in the trees over there, there are also more Uruk Reavers. Spoiler, but you know, they're waiting in ambush, essentially. So, let's get this show on the road. And really the first thing to do is to commence my firing, because I have got certainly the ranged advantage with the ballista and my archers. Now these Dunedain Troll Slayers are absolute monsters at range and in melee. They are essentially the Dunedain bodyguards, or the steel bows. I think it's just a combination of the two, essentially. I'm sending over my horses over there. The ballista in this position was a mistake, to be honest with you. I was hoping that I would be able to get some quick shots off on his Uruk-hai very quickly, but unfortunately it didn't really work out that way. So I managed to get, I think, 1 volley off before they catch me, so that's very unfortunate. But over here, my Dunedain scouts are firing into the flanks of his advancing infantry, and over here is his ambush force of Uruk Reavers. If they catch my Dunedain scouts and keep them in melee, they will do a decent amount of damage, but charging them with Arnor Knights and Knights of Numinas will be more than sufficient to do a lot of damage. Now, the ballista did fire, managed to get some kills on the Uruk-hai infantry, but it wasn't what I wanted, so I'm having to plug the gap in my line with a unit of Arthur-Dane men-at-arms immediately here. But they will hold against Uruk-hai infantry. They're also already wavering because of the ballista shot. He's not going to want to engage the pike line too early on. Meanwhile up there, that's where the cav engagement is happening, but down here he's also trying to flank around, so I'm also sending out my other Arthur-Dane men-at-arms to guard the flanks while the pikes handle the front. I do have plentiful reserve, and up here my cav is in place, so I should be fine there. If we go over here, you'll notice that I charged down a unit of Uruk Reavers, and off the charge they take a ton of damage, but in prolonged melee they will do damage to my Arnor Knights in return, so I have to be careful. My Dunedain scouts are just going to be going around the battlefield, shooting at what they can, the high value targets that they can that aren't too well armoured, so it's a waste. So mainly the pikes I'm aiming for, because I don't really want it to turn into a pike engagement. Defeat does seem almost certain, mainly because of the numbers that Isengard brings to bear over me. He's able to sort of overlap here, but I do have my cav, which will come back over and hopefully close that down. Over here, the Arthur-Dane men-at-arms will be able to hold, although the Uruk Reavers are actually pretty good at getting their value for money against armour. They won't win, but they'll do a significant amount of damage with those large axes. Definitely a worthwhile investment while the crossbows are firing at the back. Here we have the pike engagements. Now, Uruk-hai pikemen. Now, most of these casualties were from the crossbows before, but Uruk-hai pikes in general are better simply because there are more of them. But my pikes are no slouches. This will be a battle that essentially goes on forever, and the fight around them will be what really decides it. Also, my Troll Slayers, I think they still had ammunition, but they got caught in melee by something, so they charged forward. Meanwhile, over here, another crunching charge on the Uruk-hai infantry that was flanking around by my Arnor knights. And over here my Dunedain scout's now out of ammo, so again his flanking forces are going to be continuously charged by my cavalry. If we go out over here, you'll notice that I've still got a couple of units of Arnor knights, or actually just one unit of Arnor knights up here. The units of Uruk Reavers up here have been thoroughly smashed, but this unit of Arnor knights has got 24, so it's down by nearly half its men already, so it wasn't at no cost that I killed those Uruk Reavers, but I do need to kill them because they are a soft target. They are around Guards of Orthanc, however, so it's not going to be too easy. My Dunedain Rangers are still firing, and now my central position here, it's a very tightly packed engagement, which will favour me in the long run. It says victory seems certain, but that's mainly because of the fight that's going on around them, particularly over here, where this very thin line of pikes is still just about holding. This unit of Rangers, unfortunately, was caught in melee, so we get a bit of an overhead view. I have now cycled my cab around here a little bit more, trying to deal with this patch of the engagement over here, because this was where he overlapped pretty severely. I'm charging his crossbows with my Dunedain scouts, so we can't really afford them firing at my more expensive cab like my Knights of the Numinous here, so we need to shut them down. Here though we have a nice charge from the Arnor Knights, crunching into the backs of not only the Uruk Reavers but also the Nazakai bodyguard, and a rear charge will still do immense damage to them. So the enemy general is in a good deal of danger here. This patch of engagement here is a bit unfortunate for me. I need to get rid of these Uruk-hai infantry pretty quickly so that I can free up my Dunedain Rangers. Unfortunately they are falling, a bit of a misstep. My ballista crew were going to be useless anyway, so I just sent them in to try and give a bit more of a hit point sponge. The flanks are really where this battle will be decided. A pike engagement is basically just something which will hold up the majority of your centre. So I'm just trying to charge over and over to try and bring back the deficit, because he is winning at the moment with numbers, and he's got a lot of polearms and pikes that he can use to his advantage, and my Arthedain men-at-arms are not going to hold forever against this sort of pressure. I'm trying to get rid of the Reavers because they're a softer target over here. These Rangers have now run out of ammo, so I am trying to sort of patch up some of the thinner parts of the line. They won't do very well against pikes, but they will at least slow them down. Over here I'm having much more success with my cab, mainly because there's more of it. I'm charging over and over. There's also no Guards of Orthanc over here, so I'm able to charge without taking as much damage. The Reavers will still do a bit of a number on my cab in prolonged melee. Over here, meanwhile, the crossbows are getting wrapped up by my Dunedain scouts. Not really designed for heavy lifting, but crossbows are a nice soft target for them. Meanwhile, where are my Knights of the Numinous? I think they're off in the trees over there. There they are. The pikes are unfortunately getting flanked. Both my units of Arthedain man-at-arms that were over here fell due to the extreme pressure from the Nazakai bodyguard has been around this area as well. But also the Uruk Reavers. Here comes a nice charge from the Knights of the Numinous though. Devastating charge from these guys. Here comes another charge from the Arnor Knights. Oh, no, I changed my mind. Well, the Arnor Knights charge these guys, and I'm trying to get rid of this unit, which is still here. This unit is causing too much damage. He has managed to smash through my line in the middle here. That one unit of pikes that was low on men because of the crossbows has basically folded. He is now getting more and more around my line, which is a problem for me. It's getting more and more difficult for me to contain the numbers that Isengard brought. However, my cavalry is still running around behind his lines, so the charging over and over again is what's hopefully going to save me here, and I am charging in here trying to deal with his infantry because that's a much safer target. The pikes will absolutely decimate my cavalry if it turns around, so I can't really afford to deal with them. This pike unit, however, was successful in its engagement. So one unit of my pikes actually did win, mainly because I don't think it took any crossbow fire. Over here, on the other hand, they did manage to basically kill one unit of my rangers, so I got my Knights of the Numinous here too late to save them, and now I need to get them away before the pikes mulch them. The Dunedain scouts charged the Nazakai, and that is the enemy general dead, which is a good thing for me because Isengard's morale is not as high as mine, so hopefully I can get some breakage going on with my cab charges. But it just goes to show even a light cab unit like this off a charge is pretty lethal. The Nazakai bodyguard are one of the strongest units in the game, really. The folk of the ring, but not really holding up too well to cycle charges. The middle here is looking interesting. I have a tightly packed unit of Arthedain man-at-arms, but it's kind of crumbled here in the middle. But he hasn't got any men to take advantage of that, but he has got some spears coming in. Over here, the pikes, he still outnumbers me in terms of pikes over here, which is a real problem. He's also got a surround off on me with these guards of Orthanc, and the Dunedain Rangers are not going to be sufficient to deal with them. However, I was going to charge in then, but I did notice the stakes, and if I charged in and then tried to get back out, I would have been skewered by my own stakes. So I've got to be careful of that. It's a theme, actually. I often set up my stakes in such a place where it becomes more awkward for me to use my cav, but over here my Dunedain Troll Slayers in melee, very, very strong unit. Probably one of my favourite units I've used so far. I like the fact they use axes, very strong archers. Still my cavalry is running around, but now at this point, my cavalry is starting to look a little bit light on numbers. 13 Arnor Knights there. A frontal charge into pikes is a dreadful decision by me. That unit of Arnor Knights is probably going to get wiped. But yeah, my cavalry is starting to run low, and I can't afford it to, because that is what is going to win me the fight. If I lose my cav, that's pretty much it. As the announcer keeps liking to tell me that defeat seems almost certain. Trying to deal with these Uruk Reavers and Uruk High Infantry, because they are the softest target, the lowest risk for my cav to go after. My Knights of Annuminos will last in melee a little bit longer than my Arnor Knights, but even they will not stand long to the pikes. And the Dunedain Scouts, again cycle charging, but unlike most units, the Guards of Orthanc stand up to it much better. Their mass is slightly higher, they're much better armoured, and of course their spears, so it's only to be expected. This here is a nice dense patch of my men. I've got my Troll Slayers and my Arthur Dane men-at-arms. They're kind of caught on the ballista, but it also gives me a bit of cover. Trying to engage the pikes, because the pikes can't afford to watch every direction, so if they turn around, my cav will be able to charge them in the back. This pike unit over here is going to defeat my previously victorious Arnor pikemen, so again, Isengard proving their mastery with the pikes. Really, it's going to come down to whether or not I can charge without getting myself killed on the Uruk-hai pikemen. But I am slowly pulling it back, but at the same time, most of what he has left is lethal to my cavalry, and in a sustained melee, I think his Guards of Orthanc and his Uruk-hai pikes would be sufficient. He's also got some units of infantry still hanging around, which means we'll be able to engage in closer melee to my pikes, which are now completely out of formation, so this unit of pikemen won't last too much longer, I imagine. These units of Guards of Orthanc are a real pain for me at the moment. I'm trying to cycle charge them, but my Dunedain Scouts are now starting to run low on men in their unit, and they lose at least 3 on every charge. Look at this unit of Scouts is basically dead. The Knights of Annuminos are made of sterner stuff, however, and my general still lives, so there goes a nice charge. They were caught off balance. Excellent charge there. The Dunedain Troll Slayers are still largely intact, and they are a tough unit to take down. Really, this is a unit that he will struggle to take down, but if he isolates them, he should still be able to manage it. But my pikes here are just going to be chewed up. It says victory seems certain, but they are technically surrounded. It's mainly because this pike unit is facing the other way, trying to ward off my cavalry. There's some dead Arnor Knights up there. Again, I'm cycle charging these Guards of Orthanc, trying to get them out of the way so I can recharge. Well, so that I can charge into some of his lines over here, but again his pikes are there. He's got another unit of pikemen here. Just trying to charge and get as many kills as I can, because it's really coming down to the wire here. I've killed 1% more of his troops, and this is where I'm starting to pull ahead. Ever so slightly, really. It's the Knights of Annuminos here. If he can kill my general and my Knights of Annuminos with his pikes, this is still something that he can win, but ultimately, it is looking like I am steadily starting to turn it around, despite some missteps. Really, my line was pretty poorly constructed. That gap in the middle didn't help me. His crossbows were able to really do a number on my pikes, so he really did well on the 2 infantry flanks and up front with the pikes, but really it was a case of right here in the middle with my Troll Slayers and my Shield Wall Arthur Dane men-at-arms, where he couldn't really bust through them to really complete his victory over my pikes, and then my cav was able to cycle charge him to death. So, you know, the pikes are still a bit of a worry for me, but it is looking more and more like this is my fight to lose. This is a bit of a risky charge for me, but at this point in time, it's really, you know, boldness is really what is called for here. Another charge from my Dunedain Scouts, and yes, the battle is now swinging in my favour. He has brought over another unit of pikemen, which is a worry. Now they're attacking my Troll Slayers. My Troll Slayers should still hold up. They're going to attack the rear pikemen, the unit that's very healthy. The Arthur Dane Man-at-Arms and Shield Wall are going to keep facing forwards against the pikes that are more closely engaged. However, he now has nothing to cover his rear, so that is going to mean more cav charges. His Guards of Orthanc are still alive, but they are now trying to finish off my Troll Slayers. I think he's recognising what a threat this is, because they aren't dying quickly enough for him to free up his pikes to go after my cavalry. And if I can keep cycle charging him, I'm definitely going to win. Still over there, the Knights of Illuminas. It's a very tightly packed fight, this. The men of Arnor fighting back to back against the Uruk-hai menace. Over here, this unit of Dunedain scouts charging this small unit of Guards of Orthanc, but it is going to be sufficient to actually kill them off if they don't run. I'm going to try and charge them in the back, but he's turning his pikes around just in time, and this is a good example of how much damage pikes can do. He did disengage, so he's going to take some casualties from behind from my Troll Slayers, but look at that, look how quickly the Knights of Illuminas are falling, and they are a tough cav unit, one of the most survivable cav units in the game, and they are getting absolutely butchered by a unit of pikes that aren't even in formation as such. They are obviously in spear wall, but they only just turned around and weren't able to brace, so goes to show how dangerous that was. I lost a lot of cav. My general is still alive, fortunately. Losing my general could be enough to maybe cause a chain rout, at least my Arthur Dane Man-at-Arms. They are still eager. The Troll Slayers probably wouldn't break, to be honest with you. They're a very elite unit. And more his units are falling by the wayside here. Turning around with the Uruk-hai pikemen may have killed a lot of Knights of Illuminas, but it left him open to the axes of the Troll Slayers. Here comes another charge from the Knights of Illuminas, here on this small unit of Uruk-hai infantry, and that's going to cause them to break very quickly. Very quickly killing the whole unit, really. And that causes a chain rout among the enemy. The fear spread. He admitted defeat, but it was also at the end of the chain rout. He only had one pike unit that didn't rout as a result of that charge. So there we are. That was a very close battle. Like, it could have gone either way. Really what decided it was the fact that my cavalry was able to run rampant. The infantry fight was going against me, however, and I didn't really help myself by leaving that ballista open. I thought I could assassinate his general quickly, but alas, no. My opponent could have made some better moves as well, of course, like his Uruk Reavers that were out wide. He could have sent them in a more tightly packed formation to try and trap my cav. As a result, on the hill up there, I was able to kill off a lot of his Uruk Reavers early on. If he had more Reavers to fight my Arthur Dane Men-at-Arms, he could have gotten through them more quickly, but a very close battle. Very balanced fight, and it goes to show what sort of fight you can expect in Reforged now. Most of what we've done, the battles have been pretty darn close now that we've gotten the hang of the new balancing. Let's have a look at my casualties. So obviously my cavalry got a lot. Knights of Illuminas with 486. And really the pikemen, they held the line. In certain areas the crossbows eviscerated them. The Arthur Dane Men-at-Arms, when they're in shield wall, they hold out a long time, but against stuff like Nazakai bodyguards and overwhelmed by Guards of Orthanc and Uruk Reavers, they're not going to do very well at all. The ballista got quite a few kills, actually, 41 for one volley, but really it still wasn't worth it. Dunedain Troll Slayers, 278. A lot of my archers didn't get as many kills as I would have liked, but then he did close the gap very quickly and very efficiently. So that was Arnor against Isengard, another quick 1v1, and there will be a few more of these replays as well, just to show you what's what. Hopefully there'll be some siege replays as well, and I'll get on with doing the top 10s and a few more quality versus quantity things. And if there's anything else, any requests, then I'd be happy to consider them, and I hope you'll join me for the next video.